Have you ever felt that strange sensation, that unmistakable feeling that you were meant to discover something profound, something that has been waiting patiently for you across centuries of time? That feeling isn't coincidence, it's recognition. What if I told you that the most powerful force in the universe isn't somewhere out there in the cosmos, but has been within you all along, waiting to be awakened? Has this ever happened to you? A moment of inexplicable synchronicity, a dream that felt more real than waking life, or an intuitive flash that solved a problem logic couldn't touch? Throughout the ages, keepers of sacred wisdom have preserved knowledge that transcends ordinary understanding. This isn't just information to be memorized. It's a living transmission meant to awaken something dormant within you. The ancient masters understood what modern quantum physics is only beginning to verify. Consciousness shapes reality in ways most people never realize is possible. You've been guided to this video today for a reason. The universe operates through perfect timing, and your presence here is no accident. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share might completely transform how you experience your life, starting today. The fundamental truth that changes everything is this: you are not separate from the creative force that birthed galaxies and orchestrates the dance of atoms. You are one with it. This isn't spiritual poetry, it's the architecture of existence itself. The artificial boundaries between you and the universe are illusions created by limited perception. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Think about it. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a star. The water in your cells has cycled through oceans, clouds, and countless forms of life across billions of years. You aren't just connected to the universe, you are the universe experiencing itself through the unique lens of your consciousness. What you're about to discover might surprise you. The doorways to manifestation that most believe impossible have always existed, waiting for you to recognize them. Ancient traditions from Egypt to Tibet, from indigenous shamans to quantum physicists, all point to the same revolutionary understanding. Reality responds to consciousness in ways our conventional education never taught us to harness. The whispers of this wisdom have echoed through time, passed down through initiatory lineages and preserved in symbols and metaphors for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Now these teachings are emerging into the light, calling to those ready to awaken to their true creative potential. As we journey deeper into these revelations, you'll begin to recognize how the universe has been communicating with you all along. Through synchronicities, through intuitive flashes, through the quiet voice that speaks when your mind grows still. If this resonated with you, subscribe to join our community of conscious creators as we continue exploring these universal principles that transform perception and reality. The greatest mistake we make on our journey of transformation is looking for grand revelations in extraordinary places. We believe wisdom must be hidden in ancient scrolls, remote monasteries, or revealed through dramatic spiritual experiences. But the profound hidden truth is that the universe speaks to you constantly through the ordinary moments you might be overlooking. Consider the way sunlight filters through leaves, creating patterns of shadow and light that never repeat exactly the same way twice. There's a message there about the unique nature of each moment and the impermanence that paradoxically creates beauty. Or notice how water, when faced with an obstacle, doesn't force its way through but flows around, finding the path of least resistance while never abandoning its essential nature or destination. These aren't mere poetic observations. They're living teachings about adaptability and persistence embedded in your everyday experience. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, When you develop the mindset of a seeker who finds wisdom in simplicity, the most mundane aspects of life become portals to profound understanding. The way steam rises from your morning coffee demonstrates the invisible becoming visible. The manner in which music can instantly transport you across time and space reveals how reality is far more malleable than your logical mind believes. Every interaction, from a chance encounter with a stranger to the familiar rhythm of your pet's breathing as they sleep beside you, contains coded revelations waiting to be discovered. This awareness isn't some lofty, spiritual concept. It's a practical shift in perception that transforms how you navigate life's complexities. When you recognize that wisdom surrounds you in every moment, you no longer need to search desperately for answers. Instead, you develop receptivity, allowing insights to unfold naturally through your willingness to be present and attentive to what already exists. The natural world offers perhaps the most powerful mirror of this principle. Look closely at the spiral pattern of a seashell, and you'll find the same mathematical proportion that governs the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower and the shape of galaxies. This isn't coincidence. It's evidence of the coherent intelligence underlying all creation, including you. When you observe the precise timing of seasonal changes, you witness the perfect balance between action and rest, expansion and contraction. Just as winter's dormancy prepares for spring's rebirth, the fallow periods in your life aren't failures, but necessary phases of regeneration. The oak tree doesn't bemoan the falling of its leaves in autumn. It understands intuitively that this release is essential for new growth. Your own life follows these same rhythmic patterns, though the conventional mindset of constant productivity has disconnected you from this natural wisdom. Think about how often you've resisted necessary endings, clung to circumstances past their season, or rushed processes that required patience. The anxiety, frustration, and sense of struggle that result don't indicate something wrong with you. They signal misalignment with the natural order that governs all living systems. By reconnecting with nature's intelligence, you recalibrate your internal rhythms to match the greater flow. This isn't about romanticizing nature, but about recognizing its profound relevance to your decision-making and life design. When you understand that your creative projects, relationships, and personal development all follow the same patterns as dewdrops forming and falling, you gain both perspective and practical guidance. These revelations aren't meant to remain intellectual concepts. They become transformative when embodied through conscious attention to your everyday experience. Next time you walk outside, notice how clouds form, shift, and dissolve, impermanent yet essential to the entire ecosystem. Consider how this same principle might apply to your thoughts, emotions, and the situations you've been treating as permanent when they're simply transitions in the greater journey. If you're resonating with what I'm sharing, write in the comments, "I'm awakening to the wisdom that's always been here." Now, as we continue exploring these universal principles, let me share a powerful practice that transformed my own journey of awareness. I call it the Journal of Universal Whispers, and it's deceptively simple yet profoundly effective. Begin by carrying a small notebook with you, physical or digital, whichever resonates. More with your lifestyle. Throughout your day, record moments that catch your attention in unexpected ways. The perfect symmetry of a flower you've passed hundreds of times but never truly seen. The precise timing of meeting someone who offers exactly what you needed, or the way certain thoughts seem to materialize into reality almost instantly. What begins as seemingly random observations gradually reveals an intricate web of meaning. It's like watching constellations emerge from what initially appears to be random stars scattered across the night sky. The universe speaks a subtle language of synchronicity and symbol that your logical mind often dismisses as coincidence. Yet when documented over time, These coincidences reveal themselves as an ongoing conversation between your consciousness and the intelligent field that surrounds you. This practice creates a fundamental shift in your perception. You begin to recognize yourself not as a passive observer of life, but as an active participant in a dynamic dialogue with existence itself. The stranger who mentions exactly the book you've been thinking about, the perfect parking space that appears when you need it most, the unexpected solution that arrives in a dream. These aren't accidents, but responses to your energetic signature, your questions, and your readiness to receive. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. What makes these universal whispers so powerful is that they're expressions of fundamental principles that govern all creation. Think of these principles as the cosmic DNA, the underlying code that orchestrates everything from subatomic particles to galactic systems and everything in between, including your daily experiences. The principle of cause and effect is perhaps the most widely recognized. Every action creates a corresponding reaction that returns to its source, not as punishment or reward, but as the natural completion of an energetic circuit. This isn't limited to physical actions. Your thoughts and feelings generate waves of influence that ripple outward and inevitably return, shaping your experience in ways both subtle and profound. The principle of correspondence reveals how patterns repeat themselves across all scales of existence. As above, so below, as within, so without. The spiral of a galaxy mirrors the spiral of a seashell, which mirrors the spiral of DNA within your cells. This isn't poetic metaphor, but mathematical reality. When you understand this principle, you recognize that by observing any part of creation, you gain insight into the whole, including yourself. The principle of vibration shows that nothing in the universe is truly solid or static. Everything exists in motion, vibrating at different frequencies. What appears as a solid table to your senses is actually mostly empty space, filled with particles in constant motion. This revelation transforms your understanding of reality itself. The emotions you experience, the thoughts you entertain, the words you speak, all emit specific vibrational frequencies that attract corresponding experiences into your field. Behind the scenes of your visible reality, these principles work in perfect harmony, orchestrating the circumstances of your life according to immutable cosmic laws. This isn't abstract philosophy, it's the mechanics of manifestation. When you align your conscious choices with these principles, you move from struggling against the current to flowing with the river of creation. The impact is immediate and undeniable. Synchronicities increase, obstacles dissolve, and opportunities appear with uncanny precision. Consider how this understanding might transform your decision-making process. Rather than reacting from conditioning or impulse, you can pause to consider, what energetic seed am I planting with this choice? What vibrational signature am I emitting? How might this ripple outward and return to me? This level of conscious creation places you at the helm of your experience, rather than at the mercy of circumstance. If you're beginning to recognize these universal laws at work in your own life, type "cosmic code activated" in the comments. As we continue exploring the dynamics of conscious creation, perhaps the most revolutionary discovery on this path of transformation is understanding the immense power of your attention. There's a reason why ancient wisdom traditions and modern psychology both emphasize mindfulness. Where your attention goes, energy quite literally flows. This isn't metaphorical, it's the mechanics of how your consciousness interfaces with the quantum field of possibilities surrounding you at all times. Think about how often you've experienced this truth without recognizing its significance. Have you ever noticed how focusing on a problem tends to amplify it? You worry about being late, and suddenly every traffic light turns red. You stress about financial lack, and unexpected expenses appear with uncanny timing. This isn't bad luck or confirmation bias. It's a demonstration of attention's creative power working in a direction you didn't consciously choose. The mind operates like a sophisticated filtering system, processing billions of bits of information every second, but only bringing a tiny fraction into your conscious awareness. What determines which information reaches your consciousness? Your attention. When you focus on scarcity, your mind efficiently filters out evidence of abundance while highlighting every instance that confirms your lack-centered perspective. The hidden truth is that abundance was always present. Your attention simply wasn't tuned to perceive it. This explains why two people can experience the same external circumstances, yet walk away with completely different perceptions and outcomes. One person enters a crowded room, focusing on potential rejection, and notices every instance of being overlooked. Another enters the same room, focusing on connection, and discovers meaningful conversations at every turn. Same external reality, radically different experience, all determined by the direction of attention. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. While your attention determines what you perceive, your emotional state determines what you attract. Emotions aren't simply reactions to your environment. They're powerful creative forces that broadcast specific electromagnetic frequencies into the universe. The latest breakthroughs in neurocardiology have revealed that the heart's electromagnetic field extends several feet beyond your physical body, interacting with everything and everyone in your vicinity in ways science is only beginning to understand. Each emotional state generates a distinct energetic signature. Anxiety creates one frequency, peace another. Resentment emits one pattern, forgiveness a completely different one. These aren't subjective experiences confined to your internal landscape. They're tangible energetic broadcasts that influence the material world. The revelations from quantum physics confirm what mystics have taught for millennia. Consciousness shapes reality at its most fundamental level. Subscribe to continue this journey of awakening. Each video builds upon these insights, offering practical wisdom for navigating life from expanded awareness. This understanding transforms emotions from something that happens to you into creative tools you consciously wield. When you experience genuine gratitude, you're not just feeling good about what you have. You're activating a frequency that magnetically draws more experiences worthy of gratitude. When you cultivate authentic joy, you're not merely responding to pleasant circumstances. You're creating an energetic blueprint that attracts more joyful experiences into your reality. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, this emotional alchemy is constantly at work. Those inexplicable lucky streaks or periods when everything goes wrong aren't random. They're the natural manifestation of your predominant emotional state. This isn't about pretending to feel positive when you don't. Authentic transformation happens not by suppressing difficult emotions, but by taking responsibility for your emotional climate and making conscious shifts when necessary. The journey of mastering your emotional state isn't about perfection, it's about awareness and choice. When challenging emotions arise, rather than being swept away by them, you can acknowledge their presence. While asking, is this emotional state aligned with what I want to create? Does this feeling serve my highest vision? If not, you can intentionally shift your state through various practices: gratitude, movement, music, nature immersion, or conscious breathing. The impact of this emotional mastery extends far beyond your personal experience. Your emotional broadcasts affect everyone and everything around you. Have you noticed how certain people seem to carry sunshine wherever they go, while others bring storm clouds? This isn't mere personality. It's the tangible effect of their emotional frequency on the collective field. By consciously cultivating uplifting emotional states, you become a force of positive transformation in your environment without saying a word. If you've experienced the direct connection between your emotional state and the reality that unfolds around you, comment below with frequency match confirmed. As we explore the powerful relationship between your words and your world, the ancient mystical traditions share a profound insight that modern linguistic science is now confirming. Words are not merely symbolic representations. They are actual vibrations that ripple through physical reality. When you speak, you're not just communicating ideas, you're literally sending sound waves into the environment that influence the molecular structure of everything they touch. The revolutionary work of Dr. Masaru Emoto demonstrated how even written words affected the crystalline structure of water molecules, creating either harmonious patterns or chaotic formations, depending on their meaning. Think about the casual phrases you repeat throughout your day. This always happens to me. I can't afford that. I'm terrible at remembering names. These aren't innocent observations. They're powerful declarations that construct the very architecture of your reality. Each time you speak these limitations, you're quite literally programming your subconscious to seek evidence that confirms these statements as truth. The neural pathways in your brain strengthen with repetition, making these limitations your default perception. The hidden truth behind manifestation is that your subconscious doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you don't want. It simply responds to what you consistently focus on through your words. When you declare, "I don't want to be in debt," your subconscious filters out the negative and processes the focal point, debt. The result, more debt-related circumstances appear in your experience, despite your conscious intention to avoid them. The transformative revelation is that you can intentionally reconstruct your reality by changing your linguistic patterns. When you consistently affirm, "I am capable," abundance flows to me easily, or "I attract supportive relationships," you're creating new neural pathways that alter what your brain perceives and what opportunities you recognize. Your declarations become self-fulfilling prophecies, not through magical thinking, but through the reconfiguration of your perceptual filters. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. Perhaps the most direct demonstration of how your consciousness shapes your reality is found in the mind-body connection. Your physical body responds to every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every word you speak, not metaphorically, but through measurable biochemical changes. The emerging field of psychoneuroimmunology has documented how thoughts of fear or anger trigger the release of stress hormones that suppress immune function, while thoughts of appreciation or compassion stimulate the production of neurochemicals that enhance healing and vitality. Consider the profound implications of this discovery. When you ruminate on stressful scenarios, many of which never actually happen, your body can't distinguish between imagined threat and actual danger. It responds to the mental image as if it were physically occurring, activating the fight or flight response that diverts energy away from regenerative functions like digestion, cellular repair, and immune protection. This explains why chronic worry correlates so directly with physical ailments, from digestive issues to cardiovascular disease. Conversely, when you consciously cultivate thoughts that support well-being, appreciation for what's working in your life, compassion for yourself and others, or confidence in your body's natural healing capacity, you trigger what scientists call the relaxation response. This state activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which governs rest, digestion, and regeneration. Your heart rate normalizes, your breathing deepens, inflammation decreases, and your cells receive the message that it's safe to focus on healing and renewal. The journey of conscious creation extends beyond momentary stress reduction into the realm of long-term physical transformation. Every cell in your body contains receptors for your thoughts and emotions, When you maintain consistent mental patterns, whether positive or negative, you're essentially programming your cellular function at the epigenetic level. This explains the remarkable cases of spontaneous healing that occur when people undergo profound shifts in perception. They've literally changed the instructions being sent to their biological systems. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, this mind-body dialogue continues uninterrupted. The phi, tension in your shoulders, the quality of your sleep, the clarity of your skin, these aren't separate from your mental landscape, but direct expressions of it. Your body becomes the living record of your habitual thoughts, the physical manifestation of your inner dialogue. By becoming aware of physical sensations as they arise, you gain valuable feedback about thought patterns operating beneath conscious awareness. This understanding empowers you to become an active participant in your health rather than a passive recipient of bodily conditions. Instead of viewing physical symptoms as inconvenient interruptions to be suppressed, you can approach them as important messages revealing where attention and healing are needed. This shift from resistance to receptivity transforms your relationship with your body from adversarial to collaborative. If you've noticed this mind-body connection in your own experience, perhaps how certain thoughts immediately create tension or relaxation in your physical form, write "embodied wisdom activated" in the comments. As we explore how to break free from the limiting beliefs that have been invisibly shaping your reality, the most profound barriers you'll ever face aren't external circumstances. They're the invisible beliefs operating in your subconscious mind. Think about it. Two people with identical talents and opportunities can experience radically different outcomes based solely on what they believe is possible for them. Direct result of how limiting beliefs shape your perceptions, decisions, and actions without your conscious awareness. These limitations weren't consciously chosen. They were installed through a lifetime of experiences, many before you developed critical thinking skills. A teacher's casual comment about your abilities, a parent's well-intentioned warning, cultural messages about what's appropriate for someone of your background, these planted seeds that grew into the framework through which you now interpret reality. The tragedy is that most people live their entire lives without questioning whether these inherited beliefs actually reflect truth or merely someone else's limitations projected onto them. Consider how many of your current limitations begin with phrases like, "I can't," "I'm not the type who," or "people like me don't." These aren't objective assessments, but interpretations, stories you've been telling yourself so consistently that they've hardened into what feels like immutable truth. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, these beliefs operate like invisible governors, automatically restricting your actions to stay within their boundaries. The revolutionary discovery on this journey of transformation is that beliefs aren't facts. They're simply thoughts you've thought so many times that they've become habitual. And like any habit, they can be identified, questioned, and ultimately replaced with perspectives that better serve your expansion. This process begins with awareness, catching yourself in moments when limiting thoughts arise. "I'm too old to start something new. I don't have the right background." Success requires struggle. Once identified, you can question these assumptions. Is this objectively true? Who would I be without this belief? What evidence might contradict this limitation? This inquiry creates cracks in the foundation of your mental prison, allowing light to enter. You begin to recognize that what you thought were walls are merely projections, compelling illusions that dissolve when directly challenged. The space that opens through this questioning becomes fertile ground for new possibilities to emerge, not as wishful thinking, but as genuine options you couldn't perceive while the limiting beliefs clouded your vision. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. While examining beliefs is powerful, the ultimate key to transformation exists in a dimension beyond thought entirely, the present moment. True power exists only in the now, yet most people spend their mental and emotional energy reliving the past or rehearsing the future, leaving minimal awareness available for the only point where creation is possible: this moment. When you're caught in regret or nostalgia about the past, you're directing your creative energy toward experiences that have already occurred and cannot be changed. When anxiety or anticipation pulls you into an imagined future, you're attempting to solve problems that don't actually exist yet. Both states disconnect you from the only point of power, the present, where authentic choices can be made and genuine transformation can occur. The mindset shift that changes everything is recognizing that the present moment isn't just a brief transition between past and future. It's the only reality that ever exists. The past exists now as memory. The future exists now as imagination. Both are mental constructs experienced in the present. When you fully grasp this, you understand why presence is the foundation of all conscious creation. In moments of complete presence, when your attention is fully engaged with what's happening right now without judgment or resistance, something extraordinary happens. The mental chatter subsides, the emotional turbulence settles. You access a state of clarity and receptivity that connects you directly to the field of infinite possibilities. Solutions to complex problems suddenly appear. Intuitive guidance becomes clear, and synchronicities increase dramatically. This isn't coincidence, but the natural result of aligning with the creative flow that's always available when you're fully present. The revelations from quantum physics support this ancient wisdom. At the quantum level, particles exist as probability waves until observed, meaning consciousness itself plays a role in determining which potential becomes actual reality. When you're fully present, you become a more conscious participant in this process of reality creation, rather than automatically manifesting from unconscious patterns. The hidden truth is that transformation doesn't require complex techniques or esoteric knowledge. It begins with the simple decision to bring your complete attention to this moment, to fully inhabit your body, to sense the air against your skin, to notice the thoughts arising without becoming them. This presence practice might seem too simple to be powerful, yet it's the foundation upon which all lasting change is built. If you've experienced moments when time seemed to stop, when solutions appeared effortlessly, or when you felt completely aligned with the flow of life, type "present" and "powerful" in the comments, as we explore how gratitude becomes the alchemical force that transforms everything it touches. Among all the practices that can transform your reality, gratitude stands as perhaps the most powerful yet underestimated force available to you. This isn't just positive thinking or spiritual bypassing. It's a fundamental shift in perception that literally rewires your brain and recalibrates your energetic field. When you practice genuine appreciation for what already exists in your life, you initiate an alchemical process that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Neuroscience reveals what happens physiologically during states of authentic gratitude. Your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, creating what scientists call a positive feedback loop that reinforces this elevated state. With consistent practice, you're not just temporarily feeling good. You're creating new neural pathways that gradually make appreciation your default perception rather than an occasional emotional state. This explains why people who maintain gratitude practices report seeing opportunities and solutions that were seemingly invisible to them before. The mindset shift from scarcity to abundance doesn't happen through intellectual understanding alone. It occurs through the embodied experience of thankfulness. When you focus appreciation on what you have, something remarkable happens. The feeling of not enough begins to dissolve, not because your external circumstances have necessarily changed, but because your relationship with what exists has fundamentally transformed. What was previously taken for granted becomes recognized as the miracle it truly is. Consider your own experience. Have you noticed how difficult it is to maintain states of anxiety, resentment, or frustration while simultaneously feeling genuine gratitude? These frequencies simply cannot coexist. One will always displace the other. By intentionally cultivating appreciation, you're not denying challenges, but transcending them, creating an internal environment where solutions and possibilities naturally emerge. The impact of this practice extends far beyond your subjective experience. Gratitude generates a specific electromagnetic frequency that resonates with similar energies. In your environment, the universe operates through a principle of resonance, like attracts like. When you vibrate at the frequency of thankfulness, you naturally draw more experiences that match that vibration. This isn't magical thinking, but the application of universal laws that govern energetic attraction. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. While gratitude shifts your relationship with what already exists, visualization creates the blueprint for what's yet to manifest. Your conscious mind might distinguish between imagination and physical reality, but your subconscious and nervous system don't make this distinction. When you vividly imagine an experience with sensory detail and emotional intensity, your brain and body respond as if it were actually happening. Behind the scenes of your awareness, this process creates specific brainwave patterns and electromagnetic signatures that begin resonating with the frequencies of what you're visualizing. This explains why elite athletes, master musicians, and successful entrepreneurs all utilize visualization as a core practice. They're not just rehearsing future performance, but actually creating the neurological and energetic conditions necessary for its manifestation. The revelations from quantum physics support this understanding. At the quantum level, particles exist as probability waves until observed. Your conscious focus essentially collapses these waves into particular outcomes rather than others. Visualization concentrates your attention on specific possibilities within the quantum field, increasing the likelihood of their emergence in your physical reality. For this practice to create tangible results, several elements must be present. First, sensory richness. Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and smelling your vision with such clarity that it feels real. Second, emotional alignment. Generating the feelings you would experience if your vision were already manifest. And third, belief. Maintaining the inner knowing that what you're visualizing is not just possible but inevitable. The hidden truth about effective visualization is that it's not about forcing outcomes through mental effort. It's about entering a state of such complete alignment with your desire that you experience it as present reality rather than future possibility. This subtle shift from wanting to having changes everything. Instead of broadcasting the frequency of lack or yearning, you emit the frequency of fulfillment, which magnetically attracts corresponding circumstances. Many people attempt visualization, but miss this crucial distinction. They focus intensely on their desires while simultaneously reinforcing their absence, essentially sending mixed signals to the universe. Effective visualization requires releasing the perception of separation between yourself and your desire. You're not trying to get something you lack. You're recognizing something that, in a very real, energetic sense, already belongs to you. This practice becomes particularly powerful when combined with present moment awareness and gratitude. By appreciating what exists now while simultaneously holding the vibration of your vision as if already manifest, you create an energetic bridge between current reality and desired experience. This bridge becomes the pathway along which physical manifestation travels. If you've experienced the creative power of visualization in your own life, perhaps manifesting an opportunity, relationship, or circumstance that you first saw clearly in your mind's eye, share your story by commenting, "I created it first within." As we explore how your relationships serve as mirrors, revealing both your brilliance and areas needing healing. One of the most profound revelations on the journey of conscious creation is understanding that your relationships aren't random connections, but precise mirrors reflecting your internal landscape. Every person who triggers irritation, every conflict that seems to repeat, and every dynamic that leaves you feeling drained, these aren't unfortunate coincidences, but perfect reflections showing you aspects of yourself that remain unhealed or unintegrated. Think about that person who consistently frustrates you. Perhaps a coworker who never meets deadlines, a family member who refuses to listen, or a partner whose behavior triggers intense emotional reactions. The transformative insight is recognizing that what irritates you most in others often reveals where your own shadows lie. This doesn't mean you're directly exhibiting the same behaviors, but rather that they're activating unresolved aspects of your own consciousness that require attention and healing. The mechanism behind this mirror principle is projection, the psychological tendency to unconsciously attribute your own disowned qualities to others. We're drawn to people who embody both our light and shadow aspects, often with uncanny precision. Those qualities you most admire in others, they reflect your own brilliance, sometimes not fully expressed. Those traits that trigger your strongest reactions, they're illuminating areas where healing and integration are needed. This understanding transforms your approach to challenging relationships entirely. Instead of asking, "Why does this person keep showing up in my life?" you begin asking, "What is this relationship trying to teach me about myself?" Rather than focusing on changing or fixing the other person, an approach that inevitably creates resistance, you redirect your attention to the internal shifts that will naturally transform the external dynamic. Relationships evolve from battlegrounds where you defend against perceived attacks to classrooms where every interaction offers profound opportunities for growth. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. When you truly embrace relationships as mirrors, you discover something revolutionary. You no longer need to control outcomes or manipulate circumstances to get what you want. Instead, you align with a far more intelligent process, the natural flow of universal wisdom that orchestrates all of life with perfect timing and matchless precision. This concept of surrendering to universal flow represents perhaps the most counterintuitive aspect of conscious creation. In a culture that celebrates forcing outcomes through sheer willpower and relentless hustle, the idea of surrender sounds like passive resignation or giving up. Nothing could be further from the truth. True surrender isn't about abandoning your desires or relinquishing responsibility. It's about recognizing that your individual will operates within a vastly more intelligent system that already knows the optimal path to your highest good. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, this universal intelligence coordinates countless variables simultaneously, orchestrating synchronicities and alignments far beyond what your limited perspective could arrange. Think about how many seemingly random events had to align perfectly for you to meet significant people in your life, discover your passions, or receive crucial opportunities. Could your personal will have engineered all those precise alignments? Or were you being guided by something infinitely more sophisticated than individual effort? The paradoxical journey unfolds when you realize that genuine power comes not from controlling circumstances, but from aligning with this natural flow. When you surrender the need to force specific outcomes on your precise timeline, you open to possibilities far greater than what your limited perspective could have imagined. The mindset shift moves you from pushing against life's current to being carried by it, from exhausting struggle to effortless grace. This doesn't mean becoming passive. Rather, it's about recognizing the difference between aligned action and forced effort. Aligned action feels inspired, energized, and almost effortless, like you're being moved by something greater than yourself. Forced effort feels draining, frustrating, and full of resistance, like you're swimming against the current. The revelations come when you notice this distinction in your own experience and begin prioritizing inspired action while releasing the exhausting push. The impact of this surrender transforms your entire relationship with life. Anxiety about the future diminishes as you trust the perfect unfolding of your path. The need to control others fades as you recognize everyone is being guided by the same intelligence. The pressure to make things happen gives way to an elegant dance of co-creation. You provide the intention and inspired action while allowing the universe to arrange the precise details and timing. This balance between personal will and universal guidance becomes particularly apparent in relationships. When you release the need to control how others respond to you and instead focus on your own authenticity and alignment, something remarkable happens. Relationships naturally harmonize or gracefully dissolve according to what serves your highest evolution. The right people appear at the perfect time. Challenging connections either transform or naturally fade. If you've experienced this magical flow state where life seems to effortlessly arrange itself around your authentic intentions, where doors open without forcing and relationships transform without manipulation, share your experience by commenting "Surrendered to the flow" as we explore how life moves, not in linear progressions, but in sacred cycles of transformation. One of the most transformative revelations on this journey is recognizing that life doesn't unfold in a linear progression, but through sacred cycles of growth, completion, rest, and renewal. Look at nature, the model for all creation. A seed doesn't instantly become a towering oak. It must first experience darkness underground, breaking open in private before pushing through resistance to reach the light. Even then, growth occurs in stages, with periods of rapid expansion followed by apparent stillness, while the tree develops strength to support its next phase. Your own evolution follows this same rhythmic pattern. Those periods that feel like nothing is happening, they're not delays or failures, but essential phases of integration, the quiet winter that prepares for spring's explosive growth. The challenges that seem to be holding you back, they're creating the precise pressure needed for your expansion, just as resistance against a muscle strengthens it. The apparent setbacks that appear to be moving you away from your goals, they're often course corrections guiding you towards something far better than what you had originally envisioned. The mindset shift that changes everything is recognizing these cycles as intelligent rather than random. Behind the scenes of your awareness, a perfect orchestration is unfolding, one that honors the natural rhythm of becoming. When you align with these cycles rather than fighting against them, you move from frustration to flow, from exhaustion to empowerment. Instead of forcing growth during a natural period of incubation, you honor the fallow time, knowing it's preparing the soil for future abundance. Rather than resisting necessary endings, you release with gratitude, understanding that completion creates space for new beginnings. This awareness transforms how you navigate life's inevitable transitions. Those moments when relationships, careers, or identities are dissolving aren't failures, but invitations into new dimensions of experience. Just as the caterpillar must surrender completely to the chrysalis, literally dissolving its former structure, before emerging as something entirely new, your most significant transformations often require releasing who you've been to become who you're meant to be. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. The scientific revelations about quantum reality provide profound support for everything we've been exploring. At the quantum level, the foundation of physical existence, solid reality dissolves into probability waves of pure potential. What appears fixed and unchangeable in your everyday experience is actually fluid and responsive at its core. The seemingly solid chair you're sitting on is mostly empty space with particles vibrating at specific frequencies that create the experience of solidity. Even more revolutionary is the discovery that these quantum particles respond directly to consciousness. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrated that subatomic particles behave differently when observed versus unobserved, essentially shifting from waves of possibility to defined particles based on the presence of a conscious observer. In the words of physicist Sir James Jeans, the universe begins to look more like a great thought than a great machine. The impact of this understanding is immense. If consciousness affects reality at its most fundamental level, then your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and expectations aren't just subjective experiences. They're creative forces shaping the quantum field from which physical reality emerges. The barriers between inner and outer reality begin to dissolve, revealing that what you experience as the objective world is actually more malleable and responsive to your consciousness than conventional wisdom suggests. This isn't abstract theory, but practical knowledge that transforms your relationship with reality itself. When you truly internalize that the solid world around you is actually fluid potential at its core, perceived limitations lose their power. The circumstances that seemed fixed and unchangeable reveal themselves as patterns of energy that can shift when approached with different consciousness. Problems that appeared insurmountable become puzzles waiting for creative solutions. The revelations continue as quantum physics confirms what mystics have claimed for millennia. Everything in the universe is fundamentally connected through an invisible field that transcends time and space. At the quantum level, particles that have once interacted remain connected regardless of distance, responding instantaneously to changes in their counterparts, a phenomenon Einstein called spooky action at a distance. This scientific validation of universal interconnection explains how your consciousness can affect circumstances beyond your physical reach and how intuitive information can arrive without sensory input. The journey of understanding quantum reality isn't just intellectual, it's experiential. When you approach life with the awareness that reality is responsive to consciousness, you naturally become more intentional about your mental and emotional states. You recognize that maintaining coherent thoughts and elevated emotions isn't just for personal well-being, but directly impacts what manifests in your experience. The boundary between observer and creator dissolves as you recognize yourself as both simultaneously. This quantum perspective illuminates why practices like meditation, visualization, and energy work produce tangible results that transcend conventional explanation. You're not just changing your subjective experience, you're actually influencing the quantum field from which physical reality emerges. This explains the miraculous healings, synchronicities, and manifestations that occur when consciousness shifts from limitation to possibility. If you've experienced moments when reality seemed to bend in response to your consciousness, perhaps through synchronicities too precise to be coincidence or manifestations that arrived with uncanny timing, share your quantum experience by commenting, "Reality is responsive," as we explore how genuine forgiveness liberates energy that has been bound in past pain. Perhaps the most underestimated force in personal transformation is the power of genuine forgiveness. When you hold resentment towards someone who has hurt you, you create what energy healers call a cord of attachment, an energetic connection that continues to drain your life force long after the actual event has ended. Think about it. How many times have you replayed painful scenarios in your mind, feeling the emotions as intensely as when they first occurred? This isn't just psychological, it's a literal energetic tether, binding you to past wounds and limiting your present capacity for joy, creativity, and Manifestation. The hidden truth about resentment is that it affects you far more than the person you're unable to forgive. While you're carrying the heavy emotional burden, replaying scenarios, and experiencing the biochemical stress response that accompanies anger, the other person is often completely unaware, perhaps even living happily without giving the situation another thought. The revelation that changes everything is recognizing that forgiveness isn't something you do for others. It's a profound act of liberation you perform for yourself. True forgiveness has been misunderstood in our culture. It doesn't mean condoning harmful actions, pretending nothing happened, or necessarily reconciling with someone who has hurt you. Authentic forgiveness is an internal energetic release, a conscious decision to stop carrying the burden of resentment and free yourself from its limiting effects on your present and future. This isn't a single event, but a process that happens in layers, gradually dissolving the emotional charge around painful memories until they become neutral experiences that no longer trigger intense reactions. The impact of this release extends far beyond emotional well-being. When you dissolve these energetic blockages, you literally free up the life force that was bound in maintaining them. Many people experience surprising physical healing, creative breakthroughs, or sudden manifestations following deep forgiveness work. It's as if you've unclogged a pipe that was preventing the flow of universal energy through your system, allowing it to move freely again and attract experiences that match this new, unobstructed frequency. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. While forgiveness works with past energetic blockages, ritual gives you the power to consciously shape future energy. Throughout human history, every culture has developed rituals for major transitions, celebrations, and intentions. These weren't mere superstitions, but sophisticated technologies for interfacing between individual consciousness and universal forces. Modern science is only beginning to understand what ancient wisdom has always known, that focused intention combined with symbolic action creates powerful shifts in both your internal state and the field of possibilities surrounding you. The mechanism behind effective ritual lies in its ability to bridge conscious intention with subconscious acceptance. When you engage multiple sensory channels, sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, while focusing on a specific intention, you're essentially programming your entire system rather than just your conscious mind. This creates coherence between your thoughts, emotions, physical body, and energetic field, a unified message that amplifies the signal you're sending into the quantum field. Behind the scenes of your awareness, ritual creates a temporary sacred space where the veil between visible and invisible dimensions becomes thinner. It's like opening a direct channel of communication with the intelligent forces orchestrating the universe. This explains why even simple rituals performed with full presence can produce results that seem disproportionate to the action itself. You're not just performing symbolic gestures, you're engaging with the actual creative mechanics of reality. The revelations come when you recognize that ritual doesn't require elaborate procedures or esoteric knowledge. Simple practices performed with authentic intention and full presence can be profoundly effective. Lighting a candle while setting a clear intention focuses your energy and symbolizes illumination of new possibilities. Writing down what you're releasing and burning the paper creates a powerful physical representation of transformation. Even the daily ritual of expressing gratitude before sleep shifts your vibration to one that magnetically attracts more experiences worthy of appreciation. What transforms these simple actions from empty gestures to powerful catalysts is your conscious awareness while performing them. When you approach ritual with reverence, full presence, and clear intention, understanding that you're actively participating in the process of reality creation rather than just going through motions, You activate its transformative potential. The mindset shift moves you from seeing ritual as superstition to recognizing it as a sophisticated technology for consciousness-based manifestation. The journey of incorporating ritual into modern life requires discernment rather than adopting practices that feel foreign or inauthentic. Observe what naturally creates a sense of sacredness for you. Perhaps it's time in nature, movement, creative expression, or moments of connection. These become the foundation for personalized rituals that resonate with your unique energy and intentions. The most powerful rituals often emerge organically from your own intuition rather than being imposed from external sources. By combining the releasing power of forgiveness with the creative potential of ritual, you establish a complete cycle of transformation, clearing what no longer serves you while consciously calling in what aligns with your highest vision. This dynamic balance creates a continuous flow of renewal and expansion, preventing stagnation and accelerating your evolution. If you've experienced the liberating power of forgiveness in your own life, perhaps feeling a weight lift from your shoulders, or noticing how releasing resentment created space for new blessings, share your experience by commenting, "Forgiveness set me free," as we explore how your physical body contains wisdom deeper than intellectual understanding. In our modern world that prizes intellectual knowledge above all else, we've largely forgotten a profound truth. Your physical body contains an intelligence far deeper than logical understanding. While your thinking mind processes information sequentially and analytically, your body absorbs wisdom holistically, registering subtle energies, implicit memories, and intuitive knowing that transcend rational thought. This somatic intelligence doesn't communicate through words or concepts, but through sensations, impulses, and what many describe as gut feelings. Think about how many times your body has tried to guide you. That inexplicable heaviness when entering certain environments or meeting certain people. Not anxiety, but a genuine energetic response warning you something isn't aligned. The mysterious lightness and expansion when considering choices that serve your evolution, even when they seem illogical. The subtle internal nudges toward or away from situations, relationships, or decisions. These aren't random physiological responses, but sophisticated guidance perfectly calibrated to your unique journey. The revelation that transforms everything is recognizing that your body isn't just a vehicle carrying your consciousness, but a receiver and processor of wisdom that transcends your conscious mind. Every cell contains receptors that respond to thoughts, emotions, and energetic information from your environment. This creates a feedback system infinitely more sophisticated than intellectual analysis alone. One that integrates information from dimensions your thinking mind can't access. Accessing this bodily wisdom requires a fundamental mindset shift. Rather than living exclusively from the neck up, constantly analyzing, planning, and ruminating, you begin to inhabit your entire being. This doesn't mean abandoning intellectual capacity, but balancing it with embodied awareness. The journey begins with simply bringing attention into your physical form, noticing sensations without immediately interpreting or judging them. What does anxiety actually feel like in your body? Where do you experience joy? How does truth register physically versus something that isn't aligned for you? Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. As you develop this relationship with your body's intelligence, you naturally begin transcending the duo-much suffering. Our conventional consciousness operates through constant division and opposition, good versus bad, right versus wrong, success versus failure. This binary thinking creates an internal battlefield where experiences must be categorized and judged, rather than simply witnessed and integrated. Behind the scenes of this dualistic perception lies a profound hidden truth. These apparent opposites aren't separate, but complementary aspects of a unified whole. Just as day and night aren't enemies but different expressions of the same 24-hour cycle, what we label as positive and negative experiences are actually integrated parts of the same evolutionary journey. The most transformative revelations often emerge from what initially appeared as devastating setbacks. The relationships that challenged you most typically catalyzed your greatest growth. The apparent failures that seemed to move you away from your goals frequently redirected you towards something far more aligned with your authentic path. The impact of transcending this dualistic mindset cannot be overstated. When you no longer need to categorize every experience as good or bad, you release the exhausting resistance against what is. Energy previously used in fighting reality becomes available for creative response. You move from, "Why is this happening to me?" to "What is this revealing for me?" From this expanded perspective, challenges aren't punishments, but invitations into greater awareness. Mistakes aren't failures, but necessary steps in mastery. And endings aren't losses, but completion of cycles making way for new beginnings. This doesn't mean passively accepting harmful situations or suppressing authentic emotional responses. Rather, it's about recognizing that even difficult experiences contain valuable gifts when approached with conscious awareness. The relationship breakup that initially seemed devastating creates space for a more aligned partnership. The career setback that appeared to derail your plans redirects you toward work more suited to your authentic talents. The health challenge that seemed purely negative catalyzes lifestyle changes that ultimately enhance your well-being. The journey of transcending duality transforms your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of fearing the unknown, you begin recognizing it as the field of infinite possibility. When you're no longer attached to specific outcomes or rigid definitions of success, you open to solutions and opportunities your limited perspective couldn't have imagined. This expanded awareness doesn't diminish your clarity or determination, but actually enhances it. You move forward with focused intention while remaining flexible about the precise form your manifestations will take. This perspective shift ripples through every aspect of your life. You find yourself less reactive to perceived slights, less devastated by apparent setbacks, and more capable of finding the gift within challenges. You recognize perfectionism not as high standards, but as a form of fear-based control, and begin embracing the messy, non-linear nature of authentic growth. Rather than seeking comfort at all costs, you develop capacity to remain present with discomfort, knowing it often precedes significant breakthroughs. If you've experienced moments when what initially seemed like your worst day actually led to unexpected blessings or redirected you towards something better than your original plan, share your story by commenting "perfect" in its imperfection. As we explore how community amplifies the power of individual transformation. While the journey of transformation begins with individual practice, there's a profound amplification that occurs when we connect with others walking a similar path. Quantum field theory reveals something remarkable about consciousness. When multiple minds focus on the same intention or frequency, they don't just add to each other, they multiply exponentially. This explains why meditation in groups consistently produces stronger measurable effects than individual practice, why prayer circles report higher rates of manifestation, and why ancient traditions have always emphasized the power of collective ceremony and ritual. The science behind this phenomenon is fascinating. Each human mind generates its own electromagnetic field, which extends beyond the physical body and interacts with other fields. When multiple people harmonize their intentions and emotional states, these fields begin resonating in coherence, creating what scientists call a group field with significantly amplified power. This isn't mystical but measurable. Researchers have documented how these coherent fields affect random number generators, plant growth, and even crime rates in surrounding areas. Behind the scenes of conscious awareness, this collective field creates a support structure for individual transformation that goes far beyond emotional encouragement. When you're struggling to maintain a new frequency, perhaps forgiveness when you've been hurt, or abundance mindset when facing temporary lack, the resonant field of a supportive community literally helps stabilize your personal vibration until it becomes self-sustaining. It's like learning to ride a bicycle with training wheels that eventually come off once you've developed balance. The revelations about community power transform how we approach personal growth. Rather than seeing transformation as a solitary journey of willpower and discipline, we recognize the immense advantage of strategic connection with others who share our values and aspirations. This doesn't mean surrounding yourself with people who simply make you feel good or validate existing patterns. True transformative community often challenges you to expand beyond comfortable limitations while providing the energetic support to do so. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. While human community offers this powerful amplification, the natural world provides perfect models for balanced living that have been refined through billions of years of evolution. When observed with reverence and awareness, nature becomes your most accessible and profound teacher, offering wisdom for navigating every aspect of human experience. Consider the oak tree that has weathered countless storms. Its secret lies not in rigid resistance, but in dynamic flexibility, strong enough to maintain its structure while supple enough to bend with powerful winds. This living metaphor offers precise guidance for developing emotional resilience. The tree doesn't fight against the storm or pretend it isn't happening. It acknowledges the reality of powerful forces while adapting its response appropriately, neither breaking through brittleness nor collapsing through weakness. Water demonstrates another essential teaching through its relationship with obstacles. When a stream encounters a boulder, it doesn't waste energy forcing its way through or becoming frustrated by the barrier. It simply flows around, continuing its journey without drama or resistance. Yet over time, this gentle persistence gradually reshapes even the hardest stone. This natural wisdom offers a profound template for navigating life's inevitable challenges, not through forceful confrontation or passive avoidance, but through adaptable persistence that honors both your intention and the reality of what exists. The seasonal cycles reveal perhaps the most important teaching for a culture obsessed with constant productivity. Winter's apparent dormancy isn't a failure of summer's abundance, but an essential phase of the greater cycle. The seeds germinating underground during winter's stillness create the foundation for spring's emergence. This natural rhythm validates the necessity of your own fallow periods, times when visible progress seems minimal, but essential integration and preparation are occurring beneath the surface. The impact of recognizing these natural patterns transforms how you navigate your own growth cycles. Instead of fighting against necessary rest periods, you honor them as essential preparation for your next expansion. Rather than meeting obstacles with frustration, you flow around them with adaptable persistence. When facing life's storms, you cultivate the balance of strength and flexibility that allows you to remain standing while continuing to grow. The mindset shift occurs when you recognize that these aren't just poetic metaphors, but actual templates for success that have been perfected over billions of years of evolution. The natural world isn't separate from human experience, but the larger system within which all human activity occurs. By aligning your personal patterns with these natural rhythms, you reduce unnecessary struggle and access a wisdom far deeper than intellectual understanding alone. What makes this natural wisdom particularly powerful is its accessibility. You don't need special training, expensive programs, or exotic retreats to access these teachings, just the willingness to observe with reverence and apply what you witness. A single walk in nature with conscious awareness can provide more actionable wisdom than volumes of theoretical knowledge. The oak tree in your neighborhood, the stream in the local park, the changing seasons outside your window all contain perfect guidance for your unique journey. If you've received profound guidance from observing nature's patterns and applied it to transform your own life challenges, share your experience by commenting, "Nature's wisdom guides me." As we explore how your breath connects conscious and unconscious realms, among all the tools available for immediate transformation, your breath stands as the most powerful, accessible, and underutilized resource. This isn't just a poetic metaphor. It's physiological fact. Your breath is the only bodily function that operates both automatically and under conscious control, creating a direct bridge between your conscious and unconscious realms. This unique position makes breathing a powerful gateway between different states of awareness, allowing you to influence systems that normally function beyond voluntary control. Consider what happens physiologically during moments of stress. Your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, triggering your sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight response that floods your body with stress hormones, diverts blood from digestive organs to muscles, and narrows cognitive function to focus only on perceived threats. This survival mechanism serves you perfectly when facing immediate physical danger, but becomes destructive when activated chronically by everyday stresses, emails, traffic, or challenging conversations. The revelation that transforms everything is recognizing that this process works both ways. Just as emotional states affect breathing patterns, deliberately changing your breathing pattern sends powerful signals to your nervous system, brain, and emotional centers. When you consciously shift to slow, deep, rhythmic breathing, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response that lowers stress hormones, relaxes muscle tension, improves cognitive function, and creates the internal conditions where healing, creativity, and clarity naturally emerge. Behind the scenes of your awareness, this breathing practice creates a cascade of beneficial effects. Heart rate variability, a key indicator of stress resilience, improves. Brainwave patterns shift from agitated beta waves to relaxed alpha and even meditative theta states. Blood pH balances, oxygen delivery to tissues increases, and the brain releases natural calming chemicals. All of these physiological changes occur without pills, special equipment, or expert guidance, just through your conscious decision to change your breathing pattern. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. While conscious breathing creates the internal conditions for transformation, synchronicity provides the external confirmation that you're moving in alignment with your highest path. What most people dismiss as meaningful coincidences or strange luck actually represents a sophisticated guidance system, the universe communicating directly with you through the language of meaningful patterns and precisely timed encounters. The concept of synchronicity, first articulated by psychologist Carl Jung, describes meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by conventional causality, but seem to be arranged according to some deeper organizing principle. These aren't random events, but breadcrumbs leading you toward your highest evolution, if you learn to recognize and follow them. The recurring number sequences that catch your attention, the book that falls open to exactly the page you needed to read, the chance meeting with someone who provides the exact connection you've been seeking. These represent an intelligent field responding to your consciousness in real time. The mindset shift that changes everything is moving from seeing life as a series of random events to recognizing the interconnected web of meaningful patterns orchestrated by an intelligence far greater than your limited perspective can comprehend. This doesn't mean every single occurrence carries special significance, but it does suggest that particular patterns of events, especially those that trigger a sense of meaning or resonance, warrant your attention as potential guidance. The impact of recognizing synchronicity transforms your relationship with uncertainty. Rather than facing the unknown with anxiety, you begin approaching it with curious anticipation, knowing that appropriate guidance will appear at precisely the right moment. Instead of forcing decisions through mental analysis, alone, you learn to complement logical thinking with awareness of synchronistic signs that often point toward options your analytical mind might have overlooked. This guidance system becomes particularly apparent during major life transitions. When you're contemplating a significant change, perhaps in career, relationship, or location, synchronicities often increase dramatically, offering confirmation or course correction. The job opportunity that appears the day after you decide to explore new directions, the unexpected introduction to someone working in your dream field, the series of obstacles that consistently block a path that isn't aligned with your highest good. These aren't coincidences, but intelligent feedback guiding you toward optimal outcomes. The revelations about synchronicity explain why forced efforts often lead to frustration, while inspired action brings unexpected support. When you're aligned with your authentic path, the universe responds with a series of green lights, doors opening effortlessly, resources appearing at the perfect time, and helpful connections manifesting seemingly out of nowhere. This isn't magical thinking, but the natural result of aligning your individual consciousness with the greater intelligence orchestrating all of life. Learning to work with synchronicity requires developing a different kind of attention, one that notices patterns, resonances, and meaningful timing rather than just logical connections. It means holding your plans lightly enough that they can be refined or redirected by the wisdom of this greater guidance system. The journey isn't about abandoning critical thinking, but complementing it with awareness of these subtle communications that often bypass rational understanding to speak directly to your intuitive knowing. If you've experienced meaningful synchronicities that guided you toward unexpected opportunities or away from paths that weren't serving your highest good, share your story by commenting, "Guided by meaningful coincidence." As we explore how your dream life offers direct access to subconscious wisdom, each night as you drift into sleep, you enter a realm far more significant than our culture recognizes. Your dreams aren't random neural firings or meaningless subconscious chatter. They're sophisticated portals accessing dimensions of wisdom beyond your waking awareness. Modern neuroscience has confirmed what ancient traditions have always known. During dream states, the analytical left brain relaxes its dominance, allowing deeper aspects of consciousness to communicate through the language of symbol, metaphor, and emotion. Think about how many times the solution to a problem has appeared in a dream when your conscious mind couldn't resolve it. This isn't coincidence. While you sleep, your brain processes information differently, making connections your waking mind overlooks and accessing intuitive knowing beyond rational thought. The inventor of the sewing machine, Elias Howe, discovered the crucial needle design in a dream after months of failed attempts. Dmitri Mendeleev saw the periodic table of elements in a dream after struggling to organize them while awake. Einstein's theory of relativity was preceded by a dream of riding on a beam of light. These aren't isolated examples, but demonstrations of how dream consciousness bypasses the limitations of logical thinking to access more expansive intelligence. Your dream life offers this same creative potential each night, not just for scientific breakthroughs, but for guidance on relationships, creative projects, health challenges, and spiritual questions. The revelations awaiting you in this realm require only your attention and intention to become accessible. The transformative practice begins with simply recording your dreams. Keep a journal and pen beside your bed and write down whatever you remember immediately upon waking, before your analytical mind has a chance to rationalize or dismiss these experiences. Don't worry about capturing every detail. Even fragments provide valuable insights. Over time, you'll notice recurring symbols, characters, and themes emerging. A personal symbolic language developing between your conscious and subconscious aspects. This dream dictionary becomes uniquely yours. While certain universal symbols exist across cultures, the most powerful meanings come from your personal associations. Water might represent emotion for one person, but spiritual. Cleansing for another. A bird could symbolize freedom or perspective or a specific person in your life. By contemplating these symbols with curious awareness rather than rigid interpretation, you develop fluency in your soul's native language. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. While dreams connect you with your personal subconscious, they also reveal something profound about the nature of reality itself. Everything exists within a vast, intelligent network of connection. This web of relationship isn't philosophical poetry, but literal truth, confirmed by both quantum physics and ecological science. At the quantum level, particles that once interacted remain connected regardless of distance. In ecosystems, the health of any species affects all others in cascading relationships too complex to fully map. The hidden truth is that you never act in isolation. Every choice, word, thought, and action sends ripples through the collective field, influencing the whole in ways both subtle and profound. That moment of kindness toward a stranger, it altered their neurochemistry, affecting how they treated the next 10 people they encountered. The genuine forgiveness you extended, it shifted an energetic pattern that might have perpetuated for generations. The internal healing you've done on your own judgments and fears, it contributes directly to the healing of collective consciousness. Behind the scenes of visible reality, this interconnected web functions as a single, intelligent system, one that registers and responds to your individual consciousness while simultaneously coordinating billions of other nodes in the network. When you recognize yourself as both an individual expression and an integral part of this greater whole, your approach to personal transformation fundamentally shifts. You understand that healing yourself contributes directly to healing the world, and conversely, that contributing to collective well-being accelerates your personal evolution. The impact of this understanding transforms how you move through daily life. Decisions previously made from purely personal perspective now include awareness of their wider influence. The simple choice between reacting with irritation or responding with patience ripples outward, affecting far more than just the immediate interaction. Your internal states, the thoughts you entertain, the emotions you cultivate, the frequencies you maintain, become recognized as tangible contributions to the collective field. This doesn't create pressure for perfection, but rather invites conscious participation. You recognize that your presence matters, that the quality of awareness you bring to each moment influences the whole in ways you may never directly witness. The journey shifts from isolated self-improvement to recognition of your role within an interconnected symphony where every note affects the entire composition. The revelations continue as you observe how this web of connection operates. In your personal experience, those inexplicable moments when you think of someone just before they call, the immediate sense of certain environments even before logical assessment, the resonant recognition of particular people upon first meeting, these experiences aren't mysterious but natural functions of this interconnected field. Your consciousness isn't contained within your skull, but extends through invisible filaments, connecting you with everyone and everything. This understanding doesn't diminish individual uniqueness, but places it within a greater context. You are simultaneously a distinct expression of consciousness and an integral part of a unified whole, both perspectives equally valid and necessary for a complete understanding of your nature and purpose. Your unique gifts, talents, and even challenges aren't random, but specific contributions to the greater tapestry of which you're an essential thread. If you've experienced moments of profound connection where you tangibly felt your oneness with something greater than yourself, perhaps in nature, meditation, creative flow, or unexpected synchronicity, share your experience by commenting, "We are all connected," as we explore how true wisdom embraces growth not as a destination, but as an eternal spiral of unfolding awareness. Perhaps the most liberating revelation on this journey of transformation is recognizing that there is no final destination, no ultimate achievement that marks completion, no mountaintop where you plant your flag and declare, "I've arrived." True wisdom embraces growth not as a linear progression towards some idealized endpoint, but as an eternal spiral of expanding awareness. Each insight doesn't bring you closer to finishing your evolution, but opens doorways to entirely new dimensions of understanding. Consider how often our conventional mindset creates unnecessary suffering through this misconception. We think, once I achieve this goal, master this skill, or reach this milestone, then I'll be complete. Yet those who reach these supposed destinations invariably discover new horizons beckoning beyond them. The entrepreneur who thought financial freedom would bring fulfillment finds deeper questions about purpose awaiting. The spiritual seeker who attained the meditative state they pursued for years discovers it was merely the beginning of a more profound journey. The mindset shift that changes everything is recognizing that this continual unfolding isn't a failure to arrive, but the actual point of existence. Just as the universe itself continuously expands, your consciousness is designed for perpetual growth. The joy doesn't lie in reaching some imaginary finish line, but in the exquisite process of becoming, in the moment-by-moment adventure of discovery, integration, and expansion. This perspective transforms how you approach both achievements and challenges. When you embrace life as an eternal spiral rather than a linear path, achievements become not endpoints but platforms from which to explore new dimensions. Challenges transform from obstacles blocking your progress to necessary pressure, creating capacity for your next expansion. The question shifts from, "When will I finally get there?" to, "What amazing discovery awaits around the next curve?" This isn't lowering your standards, but recognizing that the standards themselves will continuously evolve as your awareness expands. Behind the scenes of conventional goal-oriented thinking lies a profound hidden truth. The moment you declare yourself complete in any area, you initiate stagnation. The masters in any field, whether science, art, spirituality, or business, maintain beginner's mind even at the height of their accomplishment. They recognize that what appears as mastery from one perspective reveals itself as merely the foundation for the next level of growth when viewed from a higher vantage point. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. This eternal journey unfolds not as random wandering but as sacred artistry, a magnificent tapestry you're continuously weaving through conscious choice. Each thought you entertain, each emotion you cultivate, each action you take becomes a thread in this grand design. Some threads are vibrant and bold, others subtle and understated, but all contribute to the unique expression that is your life. The revolutionary understanding is recognizing yourself as both the artist and the artwork, the creator and the creation. You're not passively experiencing a predetermined life, but actively participating in its ongoing creation. This doesn't mean controlling every circumstance. The tapestry includes threads from collective patterns and universal forces beyond individual determination. but it does mean consciously selecting which colors you'll weave through your focus, intention, and energy. The impact of this perspective transforms even ordinary moments into opportunities for creative expression. That challenging conversation becomes a chance to weave threads of compassion rather than judgment. The unexpected setback offers a choice between weaving frustration or curiosity. Each moment presents options for which qualities you'll express and thereby strengthen in your life's design. This understanding of life as sacred artistry doesn't require dramatic external changes. The revelations come through recognizing how seemingly small choices create patterns that eventually define the entire tapestry. The daily decision to focus on gratitude rather than complaint, to respond with patience rather than reactivity, to choose growth rather than comfort. These consistent choices create the dominant patterns in your life's masterpiece. The journey of conscious creation invites discernment about which threads serve your highest vision. Some patterns you've been weaving may have been inherited rather than consciously chosen, perhaps threads of limitation, unworthiness, or fear passed down through family or culture. The artistry of transformation involves gently removing these threads while introducing new ones that better express your authentic essence. What makes this perspective particularly empowering is recognizing that you don't need to erase or deny previous patterns to create something new. Just as a skilled weaver integrates unexpected threads into a more complex and beautiful design, you can incorporate even difficult experiences into a tapestry of greater wisdom and compassion. Nothing is wasted when viewed from this perspective of sacred artistry. This approach to life transcends simplistic positive thinking. It's not about denying shadows or pretending everything is perfect, but rather about consciously working with both light and shadow to create depth and dimension. The masterpiece of your existence includes contrasts, tensions, and harmonious resolutions, all essential elements of a tapestry worth creating. If the metaphor of weaving your life as a sacred masterpiece resonates with your experience, perhaps you've noticed how certain choices have created beautiful patterns, while others have introduced complications that ultimately added depth. Share your reflection by commenting, "Conscious Creator Awakening," as we explore how silence becomes revolutionary in a world saturated with noise. In our hyper-connected world, where constant stimulation has become the norm, embracing silence might be the most revolutionary act you can perform. We've created a culture that fears quiet, filling every moment with information, entertainment, and digital distraction. Behind this collective avoidance lies a profound hidden truth. Silence isn't empty, but full. When external noise dims, something remarkable happens. You begin to access dimensions of wisdom inaccessible through intellectual pursuit alone. Consider what happens physiologically during periods of intentional silence. Your nervous system gradually shifts from sympathetic dominance, fight or flight, to parasympathetic activation, rest and digest. Brainwaves transition from agitated beta patterns to relaxed alpha and even meditative theta states. The constant internal dialogue that normally occupies your conscious attention begins to quiet, creating space for subtler perceptions to emerge. This isn't esoteric theory, but measurable neurological shifts that literally change how your brain processes information and accesses knowing. The revelations that emerge through silence often arrive not as logical conclusions, but as direct intuitive downloads, fully formed insights that seem to appear from nowhere, yet feel unmistakably true. These aren't random thoughts, but communications from deeper aspects of intelligence, usually drowned out by mental chatter and sensory overload. Scientists studying this phenomenon have documented how periods of silence enhance activity in the default mode network, brain regions associated with creativity, insight, and self-awareness. The transformative impact of Cultivating silence extends far beyond momentary peace. Regular periods of quiet contemplation literally rewire neural pathways, enhancing your capacity for presence, discernment, and receptivity. You develop the ability to hear subtle guidance beneath the noise of conventional thinking, wisdom perfectly calibrated to your unique journey rather than generic advice or cultural programming. This inner knowing becomes an invaluable compass for navigating life's complexities. What makes this practice particularly revolutionary is how it contradicts our culture's equation of value with productivity. Silence appears to be doing nothing when viewed through the lens of constant activity, yet it's actually creating the essential space where genuine creativity, healing, and transformation naturally emerge. The most profound solutions and insights rarely arrive through forced mental effort, but through allowing the mind to settle into receptive awareness. Now I want to go even deeper into this topic. While silence creates the receptive space for inner wisdom to emerge, specific sounds and frequencies serve as active tools for restoring harmony to your energetic system. This isn't metaphorical, but based on the fundamental physics of resonance, the principle that everything in existence vibrates at specific frequencies, including your organs, tissues, emotions, and thoughts. When these natural frequencies become disrupted through stress, emotional trauma, or environmental factors, disharmony manifests as energetic blockages that eventually create physical or psychological imbalance. Sound healing works through entrainment, the tendency of vibrating objects to synchronize with external frequencies. When exposed to specific therapeutic sounds, your body naturally begins resonating with these harmonious frequencies, gradually returning to optimal vibration. The science behind this process is fascinating. Research has documented how different sound frequencies affect brainwave patterns, heart rate variability, immune function, and cellular regeneration. Studies using cymatics, the visualization of sound through particles on vibrating surfaces, reveal how different frequencies create distinct geometric patterns, demonstrating sound's tangible effect on physical matter. What ancient traditions understood intuitively, modern science now confirms through measurement. Sound literally reshapes matter at the molecular level. This understanding transforms sound from mere entertainment to potent medicine. Tibetan singing bowls, whose harmonic overtones entrain brainwaves toward meditative states while releasing tension from the physical and subtle bodies. Drumming, whose rhythmic patterns synchronize with heart rate and create coherence in the cardiovascular system. Chanting, whose specific tones activate corresponding energy centers while harmonizing the nervous system. Even your own voice becomes a powerful instrument for self-healing when used with conscious intention, as vocal toning directly vibrates internal organs and glandular systems. Behind the scenes of conscious awareness, these sound frequencies work as vibrational keys, unlocking doors between dimensions of being. Certain tones activate specific chakras or energy centers, clearing stagnation and restoring proper flow. Others harmonize the left and right hemispheres of the brain, creating whole brain coherence associated with enhanced creativity, emotional regulation, and intuitive capacity. Some frequencies specifically target the vagus nerve, the primary pathway of the parasympathetic nervous system, initiating the relaxation response essential for healing. The journey of sound healing doesn't require complex equipment or extensive training to begin experiencing benefits. Simple practices like humming at different pitches while noticing where you feel the vibration in your body, listening to binaural beats designed to induce specific brainwave states, or even singing freely without concern for how it sounds, all create measurable shifts in your energetic field. The key lies not in technical perfection, but in receptivity and presence with the vibrational experience. What makes this approach particularly powerful is its accessibility. While silence requires withdrawing from external stimulation, sound healing can be integrated into daily life, transformed from passive background noise into conscious medicine. Morning commutes become opportunities for toning. Specific vowel sounds that energize particular systems. Household tasks transform into occasions for humming or chanting that harmonize your field. Even listening to certain music shifts from mere entertainment to intentional recalibration of your energetic state. If you've experienced the transformative power of either silence or sound in your own journey, perhaps noticing how quiet contemplation revealed solutions your busy mind couldn't find, or feeling how certain sounds seemed to dissolve tension you couldn't release through other means, share your experience by commenting "Vibrational Healing Activated" as we explore how the Earth isn't merely a collection of resources, but a conscious entity of which you're an integral part. One of the most profound paradigm shifts occurring in our collective consciousness is the recognition that Earth isn't merely a backdrop for human activity or a collection of resources to be utilized, but a living, conscious entity with its own intelligence and purpose. This understanding isn't new. Indigenous cultures worldwide have maintained this awareness for millennia, but it represents a revolutionary return to wisdom that modern technological society has temporarily forgotten. The scientific concept of Gaia theory, developed by James Lovelock, provides empirical support for what ancient peoples have always known. Earth functions as an integrated, self-regulating system, maintaining the conditions necessary for life. Essentially, behaving as a single living organism. Consider how the planet maintains precise atmospheric composition, temperature regulation, and oceanic salinity within the narrow parameters required for life to flourish. These aren't random accidents, but evidence of sophisticated feedback mechanisms maintaining homeostasis, just as your body regulates temperature, pH balance, and thousands of other variables without conscious intervention. The revelation that transforms everything is recognizing that you don't live on Earth, but are an integral part of Earth, as connected to this planetary body as your cells are to your organs. Behind the scenes of visible ecosystems lies an invisible intelligence, orchestrating innumerable interrelationships with astonishing precision. Mycelial networks beneath the forest floor, often called the Wood Wide Web, transmit nutrients, information, and resources among trees and plants, maintaining forest health through sophisticated communication systems. Oceanic currents distribute heat, minerals, and life forms in patterns that sustain planetary balance. Atmospheric circulation carries moisture, seeds, and subtle energies in rhythms that have nourished life for billions of years. The mindset shift from seeing Earth as an object to recognizing her as a subject transforms your entire relationship with the natural world. Exploitative patterns rooted in separation give way to collaborative relationship based on reverence and reciprocity. This isn't sentimental environmentalism, but practical recognition of reality. Your well-being is inseparable from planetary well-being. The air you breathe, water you drink, and food you eat literally become your body. There is no boundary where environment ends and you begin. The impact of this understanding extends beyond conservation into active participation with Earth's intelligence. When you approach natural settings with reverence and receptivity, you open to guidance, healing, and wisdom uniquely available through this relationship. Many report profound insights, emotional healing, and even physical restoration through direct communion with forests, mountains, oceans, or deserts. These aren't imaginary effects, but the result of entering into conscious exchange with intelligences far older and often wiser than human consciousness. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. This recognition of Earth as a living being represents just one example of how ancient wisdom traditions offer profound solutions to contemporary challenges. While we often equate progress with novelty, many of our modern crises stem from forgetting timeless principles that sustained human societies for thousands of years before our current era. The revelations emerging across multiple fields suggest that future sustainability lies not just in technological innovation, but in reclaiming wisdom preserved through indigenous knowledge, Eastern philosophical systems, and Western mystical traditions. Consider how ancient practices of mindfulness and presence, preserved in traditions like Buddhism, Taoism, and contemplative Christianity, offer powerful antidotes to the attention fragmentation and chronic stress plaguing modern society. These aren't merely spiritual techniques, but sophisticated technologies for neural integration, emotional regulation, and accessing states of consciousness where solutions to complex problems naturally emerge. What took millennia to develop and refine now receives validation through neuroscience research, confirming their measurable benefits for brain function, immune response, and psychological resilience. Indigenous understanding of reciprocal relationship with natural systems provides templates for sustainable resource management far more sophisticated than many modern approaches. Studies of traditional ecological knowledge reveal how practices like controlled burning, rotational harvesting, and ceremonial hunting maintained biodiversity and ecosystem health for thousands of years, often surpassing results from contemporary conservation efforts. These weren't primitive approximations, but refined systems developed through generations of careful observation and relationship with specific landscapes. Behind the scenes of these diverse traditions lies a remarkable consistency in core principles transcending cultural differences. Whether expressed through Hermetic philosophy, Vedic science, Taoist practice, or indigenous wisdom, certain fundamental understandings appear repeatedly: the interconnection of all life, the correspondence between microcosm and macrocosm, the creative power of consciousness, and the cyclical nature of existence. These aren't arbitrary beliefs, but observations about how reality functions, principles rediscovered whenever humans observe themselves and the world with clear perception. The transformative journey involves integrating these ancient insights with contemporary understanding rather than rejecting either in favor of the other. This isn't about romanticizing the past or demonizing modern developments, but recognizing how wisdom accumulated over millennia complements rather than contradicts genuine scientific discovery. The emerging synthesis creates something more powerful than either perspective alone, a balanced approach utilizing the best of traditional wisdom and contemporary innovation to address unprecedented challenges. What makes this ancient wisdom particularly relevant isn't its age, but its efficacy. These teachings survived not through dogmatic preservation, but because they worked, producing tangible results in human well-being, social harmony, and sustainable relationship with natural systems. They represent not primitive superstition, but sophisticated understandings of reality tested through thousands of years of practical application across diverse cultures and environments. If you've experienced how principles or practices from ancient traditions have provided surprising solutions to modern challenges in your own life, perhaps how meditation transformed your relationship with technology stress, or how indigenous perspectives shifted your understanding of community, share your experience by commenting "Ancient Wisdom, Modern Application." As we explore how authentic joy creates biochemical changes that enhance immunity, balance hormones, and promote cellular regeneration, one of the most powerful revelations emerging from the intersection of neuroscience and ancient wisdom is understanding joy, not merely as a pleasant emotion, but as literal medicine for your entire being. This isn't about superficial happiness that depends on external circumstances or the fleeting dopamine hits from social media likes and material acquisitions. We're talking about authentic joy, that deep, resonant delight that wells up from within regardless of outer conditions and creates measurable biochemical changes throughout your entire system. When you experience genuine joy, your body initiates what scientists call the relaxation response, the opposite of fight or flight stress activation. This state triggers the release of nitric oxide, which dilates blood vessels, reducing blood pressure and enhancing circulation to all tissues. Your immune system receives an immediate boost as natural killer cell activity increases and inflammatory markers decrease. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline drop, while beneficial hormones like oxytocin, serotonin, and DHEA rise, creating an internal biochemical environment where healing naturally accelerates. The hidden truth behind this medicine of joy is that it works even in challenging circumstances. Research with cancer patients, individuals with chronic pain, and those facing significant life stresses shows that cultivating authentic joy doesn't deny difficulties, but creates resilience within them. This isn't toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing, but practical neurophysiology. Your body literally functions better, heals faster, and maintains greater vitality when joy becomes your baseline rather than an occasional visitor. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, these biochemical shifts influence genetic expression through what scientists call epigenetics, the science of how environmental factors, including emotional states, turn genes on or off. Studies have documented how sustained positive emotional states activate genes associated with immune function, longevity, and cellular repair, while suppressing genes linked to inflammation and accelerated aging. You're literally changing your genetic expression through the emotional states you cultivate. The transformative revelation is recognizing that this medicine doesn't require special circumstances or extraordinary experiences to be effective. Genuine delight in simple pleasures, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the taste of fresh water, the sound of birds at dawn, the feeling of connection with loved ones, creates these healing biochemical cascades just as effectively as momentous occasions. By developing your capacity to notice and appreciate these everyday miracles, you establish joy as your natural baseline rather than a rare visitor dependent on perfect conditions. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. This understanding of joy as medicine reflects a broader pattern of intelligent design woven throughout creation, a pattern that becomes visible when you recognize the language of sacred geometry. Appearing everywhere, from the microscopic to the cosmic scale, these aren't random coincidences, but expressions of mathematical principles underlying all existence. Consider the spiral pattern found in galaxies, hurricanes, pine cones, sunflower seeds, nautilus shells, and even the cochlea of your inner ear. This isn't just visual similarity, but the same mathematical proportion, the golden ratio, or phi, approximately 1.618, expressing itself across vastly different scales and contexts. Or, observe how the hexagonal pattern appears in honeycomb, snowflakes, basalt columns, and even the energetic structure of your own cellular water. These recurring forms aren't arbitrary, but expressions of how energy organizes most efficiently in physical reality. The flower of life, intersecting circles, creating a symmetrical pattern of extraordinary complexity, contains within its design the geometric foundations for the 5 platonic solids, which in turn form the molecular structure of everything, physical, from crystals to DNA. These patterns aren't imposed on nature, but emerge naturally from the mathematics governing how energy coalesces into form. They represent what physicist David Bohm called the implicate order, the invisible template from which visible reality unfolds. The revelations about sacred geometry transform how you perceive your relationship with creation. These patterns exist within your own body, from the proportions of your skeletal structure to the branching of neural networks to the geometric arrangement of proteins in your cells. The same mathematics governing galaxy formation also determines how your blood vessels branch, how your lungs maximize surface area, and how information processes through your nervous system. You aren't separate from these universal principles, but a perfect expression of them. This understanding isn't merely intellectual appreciation, but provides practical tools for alignment and healing. Many traditional healing modalities, from acupuncture to sound therapy to certain forms of meditation, work directly with these geometric energy patterns to restore balance. Modern technologies like biogeometry and specific sound frequencies based on sacred proportions demonstrate measurable effects on plants, animals, and human subjects. When your energetic field aligns with these fundamental patterns, optimal function naturally emerges. The journey of recognizing sacred geometry in your environment develops a different kind of perception, one that sees beyond surface appearances to the underlying patterns connecting all things. You begin noticing these mathematical relationships everywhere, the branching pattern of trees mirrored in river deltas and your own bronchial tubes, the toroidal energy field surrounding both the earth and your own heart, the fractal self-similarity that creates infinite complexity from simple iterative patterns in ferns, coastlines, and cloud formations. These observations aren't merely aesthetic but revelatory, visible evidence of the intelligent design permeating all creation from the subatomic to the cosmic scale. When you recognize these same patterns operating within your own being, the artificial boundary between you and universe begins dissolving, revealing your body as a perfect microcosm of the greater macrocosm, what ancient traditions called as above, so below. If you've noticed these sacred geometric patterns appearing in your environment or had moments of recognizing how the same mathematical principles govern both cosmic and microscopic scales, share your observation by commenting "Divine Mathematics Recognized" as we explore how creative expression connects you with the same generative force that birthed galaxies and stars. One of the most profound ways to reconnect with the creative force of the universe is through your own authentic expression. Creative acts, whether painting, writing, dancing, cooking, gardening, or simply thinking in innovative ways, aren't merely hobbies or distractions, but sacred technologies that align you with the fundamental generative power that birthed all existence. This understanding transforms creativity from something only talented people do into a birthright and spiritual practice available to everyone. Consider what happens when you enter a state of creative flow. Time seems to shift, self-consciousness dissolves, and you access ideas and inspirations that feel as if they're coming through you, rather than from you. This isn't imagination, but a genuine shift in consciousness, one that connects you directly with the universal creative current that continuously shapes reality. Neuroscience confirms this by documenting how creative flow states activate brain networks associated with integration, insight, and expanded awareness, while deactivating regions linked to self-criticism and limitation. The hidden truth behind this creative power is that it remains largely untapped in most people due to one primary barrier: fear of judgment. From childhood, we internalize messages about good versus bad art, absorb criticisms about our natural expression, and gradually construct inner critics that prevent authentic creativity. These voices of judgment aren't protecting you, but blocking your connection to the most powerful force in the universe, the same generative energy that designs galaxies, orchestrates ecosystems, and continues creating reality in every moment. Behind the scenes of Visible reality. This universal creative force operates through you whether you recognize it or not. Every thought you think, word you speak, and action you take participates in this ongoing creation. The transformation occurs when you consciously align with this power, recognizing yourself not as a separate creator, but as a unique channel through which universal creativity expresses itself. This shift dissolves the paralysis of perfectionism, revealing that your role isn't to force creative outcomes, but to allow them to emerge through your unique instrument. The revelations about creativity explain why authentic expression feels so liberating and vitalizing. When you create without judgment, whether through movement, sound, image, or word, you're literally aligning your individual consciousness with universal intelligence. This connection doesn't require mastery or technical excellence, but simply the courage to express your unique perspective without censorship or apology. The most powerful creative acts often emerge not from polished technique, but from raw authenticity that bypasses intellectual filters to express soul-level truth. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic. While creativity connects you with universal intelligence through expression, your heart provides direct access to this same wisdom through reception. Modern science has documented what ancient traditions always knew. Your heart contains its own complex nervous system, what neuroscientists call a heart-brain, capable of independent sensing, processing, learning, and memory. This cardiac intelligence doesn't replace cerebral function, but complements it, offering guidance through different channels than analytical thought. The physiological reality is remarkable. Your heart generates the body's most powerful electromagnetic field, 5,000 times stronger than the brain's field, extending several feet beyond your physical body and containing information that influences both your own systems and others around you. This field responds to emotional states, intentions, and even future events before they occur, as documented in studies showing the heart reacting to stimuli seconds before they happen and before the brain receives the information. This cardiac intelligence processes information holistically rather than sequentially, perceiving patterns, relationships, and resonance that logical analysis often misses. While your brain excels at breaking things down into components, your heart excels at sensing the quality and integrity of the whole. This explains why complex decisions involving multiple variables, particularly those concerning relationships, purpose, or authentic direction, often become clearer through heart-centered knowing rather than mental deliberation alone. The transformative journey involves rebalancing these complementary intelligence systems that have fallen out of harmony in our hyper-intellectual culture. Rather than relegating the heart to merely pumping blood or experiencing emotions, you recognize it as a sophisticated perceptual organ offering guidance especially valuable for your most significant life decisions. This isn't replacing logic, but integrating it with a different kind of knowing, one that processes information through feeling and resonance rather than analysis and categorization. The impact of this rebalancing transforms how you navigate life's complexities. When facing important decisions, you learn to consult both intelligence centers rather than relying exclusively on mental analysis. You develop practices for quieting the louder voice of the analytical mind to hear the subtler guidance of cardiac wisdom. Simple techniques like placing your hand on your heart while breathing slowly, asking a clear question, and noticing the quality of feeling that arises. Expansion versus contraction, lightness versus heaviness, provide immediate access to this guidance system. The mindset shift moves from viewing feelings as subjective reactions to recognizing them as sophisticated information processing. That sense of rightness or wrongness about a situation often isn't emotional bias, but your heart detecting coherence or discord that your analytical mind hasn't yet processed. The tension you feel in certain environments or relationships frequently indicates your heart registering incongruence between what's presented and what's true. The inexplicable resonance with certain people, places, or possibilities often reveals your heart recognizing alignment with your authentic path before your mind can rationalize why. If you've experienced moments when your heart seemed to know something important before your mind could explain it, perhaps feeling drawn toward a path that made no logical sense but proved perfect, or sensing something was wrong despite all evidence suggesting otherwise, share your experience by commenting "Heart Wisdom Activated" as we explore how the perception of yourself as separate from everything else is the fundamental illusion. Perhaps the most revolutionary understanding on this entire journey of transformation is recognizing that the perception of yourself as separate from everything else is not reality, but a useful illusion, a perceptual boundary created by consciousness to experience itself from different perspectives. This isn't abstract philosophy, but the fundamental nature of existence confirmed by both quantum physics and mystical traditions across cultures and throughout history. The artificial boundaries we perceive between self and other exist primarily at the level of conceptual thinking rather than objective reality. Consider what quantum entanglement reveals. Particles that have once interacted remain connected regardless of distance, responding instantaneously to changes in their counterparts, or reflect on what happens during cellular respiration. You breathe in oxygen that was recently released by trees, incorporate it into your cells, and exhale carbon dioxide that plants will transform back into oxygen. Where exactly is the boundary between you and the world in this continuous exchange? The air in your lungs was recently in the leaves of trees. The water in your cells has cycled through countless forms over billions of years, and the atoms in your body were forged in the heart of stars. The hidden truth is that separation exists only as a perceptual framework, not as fundamental reality. This doesn't mean individual expression doesn't matter, quite the opposite. Just as each wave is a unique expression of the same ocean, your individuality represents a specific pattern of the unified field expressing itself in a particular way at a particular time from a particular vantage point. Your uniqueness is essential to the whole, not separate from it. What makes this understanding transformative is that it isn't merely intellectual but experiential. Most people have moments when this artificial boundary temporarily dissolves, perhaps during profound connection with nature, in deep meditation, through creative flow states, or even in moments of genuine love. These aren't anomalies, but glimpses of what exists beneath the conceptual overlay of separation. They reveal your true nature as continuous with all existence, not metaphorically, but literally. The impact of this recognition fundamentally transforms how you move through life. Fear diminishes naturally when you recognize others not as separate entities to defend against, but as different expressions of the same consciousness you are. Compassion emerges not as moral obligation, but as natural response to suffering that is ultimately not separate from your own. Resource hoarding and exploitation lose their appeal when you directly experience how damaging other aspects of the living system ultimately harms yourself. These aren't idealistic philosophies, but practical consequences of recognizing reality more accurately. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, as this fundamental illusion of separation begins dissolving through your direct experience. Something remarkable happens. You undergo a transformation similar to the mythical phoenix rising from its own ashes. The limited identity constructed around the separate self begins releasing its grip, allowing a more expansive identity to emerge that carries forward all the wisdom gained through individual experience while embracing entirely new possibilities. Behind the Scenes of conscious awareness, this phoenix-like transformation doesn't occur just once, but continuously throughout your journey. Each time you release an outdated self-concept, transcend a limiting belief, or expand beyond a particular identity, you experience a mini-death followed by rebirth into greater awareness. These aren't failures or losses, but necessary cycles of completion and renewal, the same pattern that governs all natural systems, from cellular regeneration to cosmic evolution. The revelations about this transformative process explain why periods of greatest difficulty often precede the most significant breakthroughs. Like the phoenix consumed by flames before its glorious rebirth, the dissolution of familiar patterns and comfortable identities initially feels like destruction rather than creation. The journey requires courage to release what no longer serves your expansion, even before you can clearly perceive what will replace it. This space between what was and what will be what mystics call the void, and psychologists term liminality, represents the fertile ground where new possibilities gestate. What makes this phoenix journey particularly powerful is recognizing that you don't create this transformation through willpower alone, but by aligning with a process that's already underway. The same intelligence that coordinates billions of cellular functions in your body, that orchestrates ecological balance across the planet, that maintains the precise gravitational dance of galaxies. This same wisdom guides your evolution when you surrender to its greater perspective. You're not forcing transformation, but participating consciously in your natural unfolding. This ancient knowledge about the cyclical nature of transformation now flows through your consciousness, not as abstract theory, but as lived experience. With each cycle of release and renewal, you develop greater trust in the process itself, recognizing that what appears as ending often serves as disguised beginning. The challenges that seem to be moving you away from your goals frequently redirect you towards something far more aligned with your authentic path. The relationships or circumstances that dissolved often created necessary space for more resonant connections and opportunities. You stand now at the threshold of infinite possibility, not because external circumstances have changed, but because your perception has expanded beyond the fundamental illusion of separation. This awareness connects you directly to the infinite intelligence that has always been your true nature beneath the conceptual overlay of the separate self. From this expanded perspective, you recognize yourself as both the artist and the artwork, consciously participating in shaping the masterpiece of existence while simultaneously being shaped by forces greater than individual will. If you've experienced moments when the illusion of separation temporarily dissolved and you felt directly connected to something vastly larger than your individual identity, share your awakening by commenting "Oneness Recognized." As we explore how authentic joy creates biochemical changes that enhance immunity, balance hormones, and promote cellular regeneration. As we come to this moment of reflection together, I'm truly grateful you've journeyed with me through these transformative insights. There's something profound about the fact that out of all the possible videos you could have discovered, today you found this one. Perhaps not by accident, but by the same intelligence that orchestrates those meaningful coincidences we explored earlier. If this message resonated with your own inner knowing, if you felt that sense of recognition rather than learning something entirely new, I'd love for you to share that experience. Simply comment, "This message was meant for me," so I can acknowledge the connection we've created here today. Your comment also helps others discover this content who might be ready for these same revelations. I pour my heart into creating these transformative videos because I believe wisdom should be accessible to everyone ready to receive it. If you found value in what we've explored together, that simple click on the like button helps the algorithm recognize this content as meaningful, allowing it to reach others on similar journeys of awakening. And if you haven't yet joined our conscious community, I invite you to subscribe. This isn't about numbers or metrics. It's about creating a collective field of resonance where these higher understandings can continue expanding. Each new video builds upon these foundations, offering practical wisdom for navigating life from this expanded awareness. There's a video right here that deepens our exploration of how to apply these universal principles in your daily relationships. Click and continue with me there as we discover how these same laws transform not just your internal reality, but all your connections with others. Until we meet again, remember that you are both the artist and the masterpiece, continuously creating while being created by the same intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos.